Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. So I'm excited about today. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. I have it on different devices. If you hear
Yeah,
that, let me turn that bad boy down. But I'm super excited about today. And first off, let me just say thank you for those who are joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am Monique Davis. I am founder of Become a Recruiter as well as Fresh Talent Sources Recruiting and some other business ventures. I'm definitely what I would call a serial entrepreneur, and I love what I do, impacting lives, impacting people. And today we're doing Bar Confessions, and I know that name kind of got you thinking like, wait, what's going on here? Bar
I'm
stands
not.
for
Look, I'm not going to jail, am I? Right?
no,
I paid my taxes. I did all that stuff. So
me too. Me too. We are good. So BAR stands for Become a Recruiter, and that is the training company that I founded some years back. And today I have with me in Bar Confessions a rock star in his own right, even before Bar, Mr. Jonaed Iqbal from No Degree.
ooh, nice to have. Thanks for
Woo!
having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like we haven't seen each other in so long, even
It's been a
virtually.
while.
Yeah,
It's
like
been a
even
while.
virtually because of everything that's happening and just, everybody just trying to figure things out during this whole thing, this pandemic and everything. But I'm just excited that we're here in this place now that we're in. Things are
Yeah.
progressing. And I'm excited. So, you are the founder of No Degree. You're a career, I would call you a career expert,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I'll be honest. I still have a lot to learn,
Yeah,
but I have learned a lot, and
yeah, yeah.
I've done over like now I spent over 1,000 hours doing resumes. So I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning more through each and every resume.
Yes, yes. But you've become an expert in terms of just knowing how the resume should fit as it relates to the applicant tracking system and
Yeah.
pretty much anything that's dealing with that. And before I get into that, I want to tell everyone who's jumping on. I see some people in YouTube and some others in Facebook. Hey, go ahead and share the broadcast. Share the broadcast. Share the love because what we're going to talk about today is going to really help you, and it's going to either inspire you, encourage you, or just empower you to do something bigger than what you're already doing or give you the courage to do that. So regardless if you're a career professional or a business owner, this broadcast is for you. So don't go anywhere. Okay, share, 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 and share alike. Okay, so Janayat, let's get to you and this No Degree, uh, career expert, resume expert. Let's get to you. Tell everyone about you. I already know you, so you
Yeah.
have to tell everybody else
Yeah.
about you and what you do.
So I help people without college degrees find meaningful jobs that pay well. So I'm the founder of NoDegree.com and host of the No Degree podcast, where I interview people without college degrees and have them share their stories. And for those of you who don't know, Monique was episode number 18. I'm currently up to episode number 62 because
Woo!
you know how it is for people without college degrees. People look at you differently. They're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, why would I hire you?" You'll get to a final round and they'll be like, "But you don't have a degree." And it's disheartening because it's
yeah,
like I see so many people who have the passion, who have the drive, who have the hustle, and they're just denied opportunity, right? Because look, when I'm hiring, all I care about is can they do the job,
yeah.
right? Like there are some safety requirements and all that. Maybe you need some
Right.
certain licenses and stuff. But and you're a recruiter, so it's like at the end of the day, if you can find talent for people, what does it matter? And it's funny. A lot of recruiters major in like sociology, anthropology. So what does that have to do with recruiting? So it's like
This
at that
is true.
yeah. So it's like that's kind of why I started No Degree. And the thing is, you get people who want to become recruiters and they have
Yeah.
no idea. So then I tell them, listen to Monique's story. Look how she went from recruiting models she took that talent and she went in there and you owned that interview, because I still remember the conversation. So that's kind of what I want to do with, that's what I'm doing with No Degree, because there's so many talented people who want to do a lot of things, but it's a different path. You kind of have to go out there and you have to be a go-getter. Like, you can't just sit
Mhm.
down and not have the degree. You got to tell them, look, I don't have a degree, but I learned. I read what books I needed to do. I took what courses I needed to take, and I'm here. I could show you why I belong, right? I didn't spend 4 years partying. I spent 4 years learning, 4, 5, 6,
Yes.
7 years learning.
Man, that is such that's just a good place to start. That's a great place to start because a lot of people don't really understand the plight of the
Yeah,
no degree person, right? And honestly, people just assume that I
yeah,
have a degree.
yeah.
They just
Which is a
assume.
problem, because it's like they assume that because you're this smart, that you have to have a degree, but it's like, you're this smart. They shouldn't have to assume you have a degree or you don't have a degree. They just have to assume you worked hard.
Yeah, I did. I worked really hard, and that's the thing about certain. I, it's hard for me to say discrimination because it
It
can
is. I mean, it
be.
is. It is. Look, it
It
is a form
can
of
be
discrimination.
discrimination.
It is a form of discrimination,
Yeah.
because discrimination is when you're not treating people fairly.
Yes.
And
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
like, if you think about it, like whether someone's a woman, whether someone's what race they are, if you're not giving someone a fair chance to present themselves, despite
Right.
being qualified, right? If you're rejecting a candidate because of their skin color, right? So it is a form of discrimination and
Yeah.
bias, because what happens is, think about it, that they assume that you don't have a degree, that they assume that you don't care about working hard. They assume that you don't care about learning. They just assume
Wow.
so many things about you. And just like the other way goes, like, because you have a degree, that you must have. Look, I was looking at, so I'm doing some research, and it's like I'm trying to look up cheating statistics and all that stuff. It's like, you ask any college student, like, have you ever cheated? It's a pretty high number that say yes.
Wow.
It's a pretty high number that do all these things. And then you get some other people who sort of never do that. And again, you get, because again, how many people, when you think of a college graduate, do you think, oh, this person's a cheater? But a
Right.
lot of college, even though that it's an actual fact, right? How many of
Yeah.
them do you think of that this person's a procrastinator? Yeah, 11:59 is when most assignments are submitted. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I did
Mm.
that too. So it's like,
Yeah.
I just don't like when people assume and they sort of have this neck. Be real about people.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Just recently I was speaking to a client of mine that told me, and this was for an IT information technology role, and they said, "Listen, Monique, I don't care if this person has a degree.
Yeah,
They could literally have just finished high school. What I care about is their passion.
yeah,
What do they do in their spare time? Are they diving into information technology or software or hardware? Like, what are they into? That's what I want to know because
yeah,
that's going to help me understand how long they're going to stay, their loyalty, their passion, their eagerness to develop themselves. That's going to tell me that, not just a piece of paper. And
yeah,
this person that told me this was a scientist. Okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
just be clear. So she has multiple,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
but
look, I got a master's degree, and I was speaking to someone with a PhD, and they help people. And look, it's not like I'm against education or
yeah,
that.
of course.
I'm just, look. You have to
My
look at,
son is going. All
yeah.
right.
So you have to look at people as a whole, and then you have to really think, like, is this the right route for me? Because some people
Yeah,
just don't learn well in the classroom. Maybe you don't
yeah,
have the money. Maybe now's not the right time. Like, I see a lot of people, they shouldn't be going to college at 18 because they're just going to party, they're just going to chill, they're just choosing the easiest major. Whereas sometimes it makes sense to go at 26. So everybody has to figure out what's right for them and go at the right time, because I saw that the best students, they're like 30, 40 years old, because they're like, look, I'm here. I know why I need this. I know what it's going to get me, and I'm working hard. Whereas I saw a lot of 19-year-olds, their parents are like, you're not, if you don't go to college, you're going to get kicked out of the house. So they're just doing the bare minimum, pleasing their parents, and they're really not getting anything out of it.
that was me when I actually did go before I quit, before I dropped out. Yeah, that was me. That was me. I didn't have a desire, wasn't serious about it whatsoever. I wanted to work. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make money. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand this. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, so I totally understand that completely. So with all of that being said, you told us a little bit about you. Tell me about some amazing things that you do for the individuals that you help. Like
Yeah.
these individuals are no degreed individuals, and we know that you help them find really good jobs. But what are some other like services that you offer to
So
help them?
I'll tell you that I do resumes for people of all backgrounds, right? and the so I've done it for people with degrees. I've done it for PhDs. I did a dentist recently. I got a dentist wanted to switch career. So
Nice.
because how I kind of do it is, and if you were to do it yourself, you kind of have to take a step back and ask, like, what's the impact I made for these people? What do I do? What do I bring to the table? How much money do I bring in? How many people, how much impact? A lot of people just say, hey, I help customers with their XYZ. But now it's like, what results? Like, how did it improve? How much money did that bring in? How much did it increase, like, retention? Did you upsell? How many seamless reviews did it result in? Those kind of things people don't really think about, right? They just kind of do their job and they just try to
Yeah.
do the best. So, but the fact is, they don't know you. So you
Yeah.
have to kind of spell it out for them. So I actually became a certified career coach. So Kristen Sherry, she has a program called UMAP.
Yeah.
So the reason I did that was I was good at resumes and I was good at helping with their careers, but I didn't have a framework. So like
That's good.
so how do you tell someone, hey, I'll answer your questions and pay me money? But it kind of gave me an idea, like, oh, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's the test I'm gonna have you take. Here's what the test results are gonna be. Here's where I can help you. Here's where I
Mhm.
can't help you. And then I took your course, right, your class, and it was really helpful. I did a little bit of recruiting and I placed some people. I didn't do as much as I should have just because I had so much things going on, but
Yeah.
it gave me a lot of clarity and insight into what a recruiter is looking for. Because look, a recruiter's job is like, hey, I need to find someone with XYZ skills for that. So when I approach when I work with my candidates, I tell them, look, a recruiter's job, you got to help them fulfill their role. You got to make their job easy, right? So you got to spell out so that way when they could find you, however they sort of find you, because once you understand what a recruiter is looking for, now you can make it easy. So the recruiter's like, this is a person I need. Because I've seen people, right? They put like, I'm a sales ninja, or they put these things on their profile, and then what happens is people don't search up sales ninja, right? They may look for, you know, SDR, right? Sales development, business development
Hmm.
representative. So you got to think about, like, what are they looking for? Because if you're
What are
not
they finding
found,
knowledge?
doesn't
Yeah.
matter how qualified you are. If they can't find you, because a lot of times recruiters come, right? They're looking for passive candidates, or they're not necessarily posting. So you're losing out on a lot of opportunity if you're not optimizing your presence online. You're not optimizing your resume. All these things.
Yeah, that's good. Like in the recruiting business itself, a lot of people, a lot of recruiters believe that the applicant tracking system is just like blah. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to get any good people from the
Yeah. Yeah.
applicant
Yeah.
tracking system, which I would have to say my applicant tracking system works.
Yeah.
I like the way that I like where I target my
Yeah.
audience. You know what I mean? Like I know how to kind of work that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my advantage. But to the regular recruiter who's just like posting and praying,
Yeah.
yeah, they may not get the best
Yeah.
results. And so yeah, you're right. A lot of times people who are applying for jobs, they get lost.
Yeah. It's
They
overwhelming.
yeah, they literally get lost, and and the recruiter is out there sourcing, looking for those passive candidates that you mentioned. So make our jobs easier. That's why I wrote the book Reverse Sourcing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a
Wait, I
plug.
have it somewhere.
That's a plug,
Hold on. It's
right?
somewhere in my background. I'm not gonna go look for it, but it's somewhere over there.
So yeah, that's why I wrote that book for individuals, for those career seekers who are like, how do I position myself to make the recruiters find me, or for me to find those recruiters or
Yeah.
those hiring managers and decision makers?
Yeah. And the thing is, there's so much bad advice out there.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing: there's so much conflicting advice. And that's
Hmm.
what's tough for job seekers, because I
Yeah.
see some people like, your resume got to be a page. I see some people like more than a page. And then what happens is I see people with like so much experience and they're like, oh, I have to make it a page. And I'm thinking, like, you got 10 years of experience. You've worked at 4 different companies. You've gotten promotions. How can you fit that on the page?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Now, in general, you shouldn't have more than 2 pages, because that's typically what I kind of see, unless you're applying for
Hmm.
like an academic position or a government
Right.
resume. So it's like, so now you have to think about, and I have to break it down to my clients. Like, a lot of these people, it's like, hey, there's principle based advice and preference based advice. So preference based advice is, hey,
Right.
this person may prevent like a page, but you
Yeah.
got to think about, if I sent it to 100 people, what's the average of their opinion? So maybe 20 of them say I want a page, and then 80 of them say, hey, it's okay to have 2 pages. Also, the other thing is, you have to think about, they may say a page, but if they see a good resume that's 2 pages, they'll still call you back, right? So
Like
you have to, yeah,
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interject.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I just had that thought like, oh, don't overanalyze the resume, people. It is
Yeah,
not that serious. It should speak the language that we
yeah, yeah,
want it to speak. So you have to make
yeah.
sure you
Keep
give
it
us an
simple.
expert. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't care if it's 2 pages.
Yeah,
I care less.
yeah,
If you've
yeah,
been in the industry for 20 years and you have 1 page, I'm a little nervous.
yeah. Then you're like, what have you been doing? And then, the other thing, I saw a piece of bad advice. This person was like, they help directors become VPs, right? And they mentioned that this person, they had a gap on their resume 30 years ago. And I'm thinking like, why is this person even showing 30 years of experience? Like, that's just, you don't need. And then they put this gap and then it led to good things. But I'm thinking like, this person was a flight attendant like 28 years ago.
Oh
And I was
my
like, and I
Lord.
was thinking like, first of all, why are you showing 30 years of experience? Right.
Right.
At that point, it's like, what are you doing? Like, hey, you look, I worked at Popeyes when I was like in ninth grade. What is it going to
Right.
lead to? It doesn't make sense. So I generally tell people 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you worked at a company 20 years, you got to kind of
You
show
got
it
to put it
because,
in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's all about, I tell them, take a step back. Think about if you're hiring someone at this VP, senior VP level. They obviously they didn't start as a director for their
Right.
first job. So it's there's so much conflicting advice. So that's why it's like I tell people, don't listen to any one person. You got to
Mm-hmm.
kind of take a step back, and then you also have to think. Look, I tell this as an analogy. Don't listen to what a lot of people in hiring have to say. Listen to what they actually do,
Ooh,
because this
that's
is what
good.
because you know what happens. A lot of people will say this, like, look at all these companies, they're all about diversity. Look at their founding team, right? So then you got what I mean. So you got to look at these things, right? Where they may say, hey, and I think a recent study, Bloomberg came out, right? I think UC Berkeley did a study. The resume studies where they send out resumes and they make some resumes sound black sounding names, some white, and they same thing. It's like then they saw that if you had a black sounding name, you're less likely to get called back. And think about it. You ask any recruiter, hey, do you discriminate against black people? 100% will say, no, I don't. But the fact is, there's discrimination that's done, right? So this is truth. And I work with a lot of like black clients, and they say,
Yeah.
look, they walk in and people like they expect, like a white, because their name's a certain way, they sounded a certain way on the phone.
They
So it's like
expected Becky. They
they expect it,
expected
and they're like,
Becky.
oh, they're like shocked, like, hey, and so all these things. So it's like you have to kind of
Oh gosh.
look, listen to them, listen to candidates, listen to
Yeah.
everything, and you got to test. You got to
Yeah.
test like, hey, what if I apply 10 times this way, 10 times this way, which way works? Like which way
Yeah.
is actually working? So, the analogy I give is if you ask a girl or guy what's their dream partner, it doesn't matter what they say. Look at their ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. That's all that matters. If you say, hey, I want someone XYZ, but all your boyfriends, don't, you got what I mean? So same thing. Look at who they hired, how they hired them, what was their process, and take that. And I think once you do that, you realize, because I've seen so many things, and even when it comes to feedback, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times if they hire the other person because they were prettier than you, they're not going to tell you, hey, I hired because the other sales girl looks better than you and we want her. They're not going to say that. Or if they're like, hey, I want a hot chick in the office, like people
Yeah.
don't say that. So it's like
Yeah.
all these things, like, because they show like if you're more attractive you get more interviews, and it's
Yeah.
just all these things, and no one says that. So you have to like really take your step back, and that's kind of what I do. I'm like honest with people. Hey, you have to be careful when how you network. Like how I tell a woman to network is different than how I tell a guy to network. How I tell a
Yeah.
minority to network is different because they have different
Good.
experiences, and you have to kind of, you have to be real with candidates. It's not like, hey, just, it gets a lot.
Jonaed, I agree with you on everything except that last part with that boyfriend thing. Let me tell you something. Don't judge me on my ex-boyfriends,
No, but
okay?
I'll judge you.
Just judge me on my husband,
Yeah,
okay?
no, you know what? Ex-boyfriend and current boy. So you have a great husband. So you're all about that. So I'm not gonna judge you on that.
Just judge me on my husband, not
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
exes.
Yeah, not your exes. So I'll judge you on your current one. So that's fair. I'll give you that.
But no, so all is well, all is well. So this is good because a lot of people are hearing what you're saying and they're like, wait, I have that same passion. I want to help people. Maybe it's not people with no degrees. Maybe it's
Yeah.
individuals who want to break into the
Tech.
accounting field.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to break into another field. Like,
Yeah.
do you is this your full-time business?
For me, yes. So this is
Okay.
what like I do. I've done over 300 resumes. When I
Yeah.
do a resume for a client, I spend 3 to 5 hours with them, and I
Yeah.
teach. I write their resume in front of them, and I teach them how to write their resumes. So I'm going to tell you, I've learned about so many different careers because I spent 3 to 5 hours. I know their numbers. I know the issues they face. I know the interviews they got. I know their previous resumes. I know their previous salaries. I know the raises they got. So through
Yeah.
this, I've learned a lot, like what works, what doesn't work. And if you're, it is generally, it's good to specialize. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you're the person that helps people get into accounting, or you're the person that helps get someone into finance. You're the one that helps get someone into marketing because they each have a different language. Like for
Right.
marketing, the thing is, the beauty of marketing is that they don't care about the degree as much. They care about results. So if you show that you grew a Twitter account, you grew a Clubhouse club, you
Yeah.
promoted this XYZ, and the beauty is you can start for free. You approach a business, you say, hey, I'm looking to get my marketing career off the ground. I'm looking to transfer into marketing. Can I manage your socials for free? Most businesses will be like, yeah, work that, get sales for them, put that as a project, then leverage it into something paid, then leverage it into
Yeah.
something bigger. And then, so marketing has its own language, accounting has its own language, right? It's like, should you get the CPA, or if you don't have the CPA, what do you get, right? Finance, right? There's the CFP, there's the CFA, right? All these things. Hey, then there's the series exams. So it's like all different routes, right? Then there's like insurance, right? Has its own specific path versus like,
Yeah.
banking, right? And there's the retail side, there's the investment side. So there's so much. So it's like if you do specialize, I would generally recommend most career people to specialize. I didn't specialize just because it's like my business, my vision. I want to
Mhm.
learn a little more about each career, each
Yeah.
different careers. So that's why it's like I do the dentist resumes to kind of see like, hey, I've been able to get results, so it's cool.
Yeah, yeah, that is cool. And the fact that you're a full-time business, I always say entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
It's
Like
not for everyone.
I say that completely. And the best thing that ever happened to me to learn that lesson completely, because I was always a corporatepreneur.
Yeah,
Okay. So I would always have a corporate position paying really good money. And
yeah,
so I would just dibble dabble
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah,
my stuff a little bit. And then the best thing that happened to me was when I said, okay, I'm giving myself a deadline. This is my date. I saved up, I have this amount of money. This
yeah,
is my date. I'm leaving. I'm not going to work for anyone. That was the best thing that, because it can make or break you,
yeah.
right? Because at that point, it was 2018. It was June 28th, by the way,
Okay.
2018. I know the date, okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, that was a time where I realized I was made for entrepreneurship. Like I was made for it. It's not about the paycheck every day. I could make the same amount of money that I made in
yeah,
corporate America, but it's the freedom, it's the ownership,
yeah,
and and just that liberation of this is mine, this is who I am, I am unapologetic about
yeah,
who I am. Like I come in with the headband on an
yeah,
interview.
yeah,
I got my little
yeah,
thing here, my nails, this is
yeah,
me. But in corporate America, it would be in a bun.
yeah,
I would have
yeah,
my glasses on because I don't want to be too much.
yeah.
And I actually just wrote a post about that.
Really?
I, one of my last positions, I did a performance review, all numbers high, high, high. I
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
only person that received bonuses every
yeah, yeah.
year, everything. But my director said I was too ambitious.
What?
Yes, he said I was too ambitious. And I thought to myself, if I was a guy,
Yeah.
would they think that I was too ambitious?
No,
Would they say that about me
no, it's
if I
sad.
was a guy?
It's sad. Like this is what a lot of men don't really think about it, right? Because a lot of men think, hey, equality, right? But you don't understand that. You see, like when a woman's negotiates, it's seen as the word. You know what the word is. They're seen as, oh, this woman's too
Yeah.
bossy. This
Mm-hmm.
they don't. Whereas a guy, it's like, oh, this guy takes charge. He's confident.
Oh
And you
yeah.
see that, and I've seen it happen all the time, where it's like, no, she's actually pretty nice, but she
Yeah.
knows what she's worth, right? So I see,
Exactly.
I see a lot of people threatened. It's
Yeah.
just and it's just not fair. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of career coaches, have to like. That's why it's like you have to be smart when you give advice. Like I tell people, like there's something I do for networking, and I tell like a woman, I was like, look, you can't do it the same way because you have some creepy guys out there. This is not as safe for you to do. You have to
Right.
feel it out, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like for me, I can do certain things. I'm not going to be threatened, right? It's like
Yeah.
whatever. But as a woman, it's like it can put you in a vulnerable position, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it's just different. So it's like you have to approach these things. You have to understand how you're going to be perceived. You have to understand how to approach it so you are not perceived that way.
Yeah, if you're gonna stay in corporate
Yeah,
America.
yeah,
Me,
yeah.
on the other hand, I didn't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then another thing I want to add is I quit my job August 2018, right? So
Oh
that's
wow,
so not too far, not too
2018.
far. Like we're
Oh wow.
so, and I'm gonna tell you, I was broke for 18 months. So look,
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the
so I
club.
want to tell people like entrepreneurship really isn't for everyone, because
Yeah,
look, the only reason I was able to do that was I lived at home. So if I did not
yeah,
live at home and I had rent to
yeah.
pay, and I'm always honest, like look, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna take care of my parents. So it's a trade off. So a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it. I see a lot of people talk about their stories, how they were broke. Look, no matter how broke I was never threatened to be homeless. The most I'll get is like stuff from my dad, like, why are you not making money? Whatever. I'll take that any day. Right.
Right.
But these are things that you really have to think about. And then also the other thing is the grass is greener on the other side. It's like
Yeah.
if you think about 18 months, I left a job that paid 85K. So for 18 months, it's like I lost out on, let's say after taxes, it's
Come
like whatever,
on.
55, 60K. So I lost out on like 80K during that time. But for me, it was like, look, when I worked, I was late to work every day. I'm not a morning person. So, now it's like I can sort of work later. And
Yeah.
the other thing about entrepreneurship is like this is what I'm always thinking about.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people it's like they turn off. They're like, "Hey, 5, I'm home. I do my thing." Me, I'm always like, "Oh, how can I grow?" I look at everything as a business opportunity. When I look at a live, I'm like, "Wow, their setup is good. How to do
Yeah.
that?" When I look at an email, it's like, "Wow, okay, I see Monique. She's sending the email. She's keeping me updated. She's adding value." So this is how I think. But not
Yeah.
everybody thinks that way. Some people's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I just want to go to job," and there's nothing wrong with anything. You just
That's
got to
right.
figure out what's right for you because I do. The Gallup Strength Finder test.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I've
I
heard
took it.
them.
So I took it.
Okay.
So I'll give you my top 5 results. Mine is self assurance, which means you
Okay.
have a strong belief, confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
Futuristic,
Okay.
you're a dreamer, you think about the
Creative.
future.
Mm-hmm.
Developer, you like building people, you like building teams.
I like
Strategic, I like when I do things, I'm very strategic. I analyze, I'm creative in that sense. And the fifth one is achiever, where you like achieving things and you have a great deal of stamina. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
you combine those skills, entrepreneurship is right for me. Because in
Yeah.
corporate America, I'm just thinking about you could like if you tell some people I'll pay you $80 an hour to pack boxes all day. People are like, yeah, cool. Me, I'm gonna take that job, pack the boxes as fast as I can, and then think about the next business. That's
Yeah.
just how I am. Where some people are like, hey, and you have to really understand about yourself. And self assurance is the type that, hey, I'm gonna believe in myself. So I'm the
Yeah.
type like you can't tell me I'm not gonna
You
make it
can't
in
tell
business,
me
right?
anything. That's
Yeah.
right.
So it's like whereas like some people have anxiety, they're just always worried
Yeah.
about failing. I don't have that. So for me, this was
Mm.
the right decision for me. I wish I knew these things. I mean, I was always hustling. I used to flip sneakers in high school. I used to sell cell phones. I used to whatever I get my hands on. I've lost
Mm-hmm.
money, made money, but that's who I am. It's just in my blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're always thinking about the flip, and that's how you know that you
Yeah.
are meant to be
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in business for yourself when you're thinking about the flip. So yeah, definitely, or thinking about how to delegate the money, especially if
Yeah.
I remember making $100,000 a year as a recruiter, and thinking about okay, how can I get someone on my payroll to
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
XYZ for me while I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. And speaking of 2018, we have that similarity. I did not know that. I was thinking, how did we meet? How did we meet? I cannot
You know
recall.
what? Let me look at my LinkedIn messages.
Okay.
It must have been
Let
LinkedIn
me
because
stop.
LinkedIn is where I meet everybody.
Yes, I know we met, but I feel like there was an event. I feel like there was like a
Hold up. I
networking
gotta
event,
scroll up.
something. You're gonna be scrolling for a minute, but
No, I scroll fast. I scroll fast.
okay. So yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, wait, how did we meet?
Don't worry. I'm up to May 2020 on the messages. I'm scrolling up.
May 2020? Was that it?
No, 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 no. It's earlier than that. I'm just
I was
scrolling up
gonna say that
because
didn't.
you were pre-pandemic on the podcast.
Yes, I remember that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
I guess we
no.
messaged a lot in May 2020
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
still on
yeah.
May 2020.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, that was when a lot of stuff was happening, and we were doing a lot of virtual events.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
business has blown up.
I
So
listen. Hey, I sent as many people as I could your way too.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah,
want
yeah. I
to talk to
appreciate
me about
that.
it. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I thought it was a great idea. I think it is a great idea. So we should talk about that a little bit. So,
Yeah,
yeah, share with the people why you're looking for why you're
yeah,
looking for our start date.
yeah. So no, I mean it's the virtual event. So we have a platform called Remo, and we actually grew it. We've hosted, I think, well over like 200-300 events, and we've done all types of events. We're doing like we actually had like a 4-day event right now.
Mhm.
Small events, and again, I saw the writing on the wall during the pandemic, and it was one of those things. It's not letting me scroll past a certain date. No,
I
no,
if I could guess, I feel like it was 2018.
no, no. It couldn't have been. You know why?
Why?
Because I didn't
Or
start the podcast.
2019.
It has to.
Okay,
It's 2019. 2019.
2019. Okay,
I
okay.
think you
Somehow,
probably saw a post of mine, and you were like,
really?
"Yeah." I think usually everybody meets me through posts like LinkedIn
Okay,
because I started being active on LinkedIn in February of 2019.
okay. And your LinkedIn is booming. Let me tell you something. You are so consistent. I am so not. Like
Look, it's not easy. It's not easy.
I try my
Uh,
best to be, but I'm horrible. Like I'm horrible. I'm in the DMs. Like I'm
yeah,
not
yeah. I mean,
on.
look, yeah, 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 yeah. No,
I'm in the
you know what it
LinkedIn
is. It's
DM.
about it makes sense for my goals.
Yeah.
Like it helps me achieve what I want to achieve. So man, I can't find you before January 2020. I don't know. Sometimes like they had like some DMs get lost. Now I gotta check my email. You making me go back.
Right. You like, I gotta figure this out. Look at you. Achiever,
Yeah,
overachiever. No.
yeah. No, I mean no. This is just like a small OCD type thing. Like I gotta know. I really have no idea. The earliest emails is
Okay.
2020.
I
Early.
I'm sure it was 2019. I'm
Yeah, it
really
was late 2019 because that's when the
yeah,
podcast released and stuff. So
yeah.
well, I think you just saw a post on LinkedIn and I was like, hey, let's talk. And we kind of shared your story.
Yeah, yeah, we did. And then you got connected with VAR, become a
Yeah.
recruiter training, and you knew you were ready to sign up, but there was still probably, I feel like, a leap of faith for you. Tell us
No,
how you
there was no leap of faith. It was
was
you. I was like, no, because for you, I was like, look, Monique, she knows her stuff. I'm making money. I have no problem dropping money. No, because look, I don't have an issue investing in myself. Like
That's it.
that's the main thing because I've
I'm the
seen
same
it.
one.
Look, when I worked, right, I used to spend all my time, like free time. When I finished my work, I used to spend it on Reddit. I used to read about startups. I used to read about this. I used to read about that. So,
Mhm.
because there's a time when it makes sense for you to invest in yourself. I think
Yeah.
first you have to learn as much as you can for free,
Yeah.
read some books, get
Hmm.
a base of knowledge, so then you can identify which courses are actually worth your time. So by the time
Yeah.
like you had the thing, I was like, hey, look, she knows her stuff. I interview her. She has a great personality. If she's selling something, it must be good because she has actual experience. Because there are so many people who are selling things, and they're really selling you things that are like worse than it's like intro. There's like intro classes. I was like, I don't need an intro to recruiting, right? I know the
Right.
basics. I know what recruiting is. I need like
Hardcore.
I need the hardcore. I need to get started. So that's why it's like for me, it was a leap of faith. It was just like, hey, you know, let's go, and it was 100% worth it.
Good. So let me ask you this because a lot of people are just joining on. Hey guys, for those who want to be recruiters or even want to be career coaches, because we have a career coaching
Yeah,
program as well that we did. It was in beta stage
yeah,
that we were re-rolling out, relaunching out.
nice.
But even either one of those arenas, with the training and tools that you were given, how are you able to prosper and thrive with those with that training with those skill sets because a lot of stuff you knew but a lot of stuff you didn't
Yeah.
so how were you able to
So you filled in. Look, I knew a lot, but you filled in a lot of gaps because there's like a process to go in
mm-hmm.
because it's like what does it how much you charge
Yeah,
what type of site what type of resources do you use
yeah,
what do you do to make it easier because there's a lot of people just think like how do you approach these business again because I've had issues in the past where it's like hey they're not using me but they're paying 20% for someone else to place meanwhile they're trying to negotiate something low with me it's like how do you
yeah,
kind of go in there and demonstrate the value what do you so those kind of things and also as a career coach you want to know the other side you want
yes,
to know because here's the thing it's like I tell people not all recruiters are good and not all of them are honest. So you have to identify if you find a good recruiter, they're worth their weight in gold, right?
come
But the
on,
fact is that and then sometimes they can be great people, but the amount of pressure they're under,
yes,
right? A lot of times, look, there's a big issue where recruiters ghost candidates and stuff. And I tell people, the issue is that they have no incentive to call you back if they don't get paid for being nice to you, right?
mm-hmm.
companies have the culture, but at the end of the day, if you're a recruiter who places a lot of people and you ghost candidates, it really doesn't matter because you're making the money. So you as a candidate have to understand that, and you have to kind of, I tell people, it's like you have to be able to job search yourself. You should use recruiters as part of your process. You should apply to jobs on your own. You should reach out. You don't know where your opportunity is going to come from. I mean, you want to make sure you get opportunities from everywhere you can, because I've seen some recruiters string people along.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some who are like, look, I can, who are really there to, vouch for you, and who are really there to sort of get you that raise. So you have to
Yeah.
understand, but you have to understand what their goals are. You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
understand where your goals are, and then figure out where they're aligned, how you can work together, and
Yeah.
then identify when it's not going to work. It's not going to happen, because I've seen it happen recently. I was working with a client. He actually got a job at Google as a contractor, and he was working with the firm, and the recruiter was upset that he accepted a job from a different recruiter. And I was like, hey, tell me, this recruiter's upset. I was like, tell me. And he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he accepted the job. He let the recruiter know, and the recruiter was upset. Like, hey, this is only a contract. You could have got something better. You get what I mean? Like, I've seen that happen where a lot of recruiters, they're so upset that they lost out on this fee when they don't think about from the candidate's perspective. Like, getting a 6-month contract at Google is amazing, and then in 6 months you're not gonna have trouble finding a job. So
Period.
that recruiter should have
Period.
said, like, hey, congrats, let's keep in touch so that when your contract is up, I'm here to help you. That's what
That's
they should have
it.
said, instead of getting upset. Think about, hey, I lost out on this little X amount of fee. They only get
Yeah.
they don't get the full percentage anyway. So it's like, you have to think about it. And he was getting like, oh, did I burn bridges? I said, what bridges did you burn? Like, you did
Yeah.
your stuff. You were upfront. You didn't lie. You
Yeah.
didn't accept her offer and then leave. You know?
Exactly. Now that would have been shady.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but no, I completely agree with you. And I'm so glad that you shared the things that you learned in bar training. But also on the flip side of that, I think about talent who I interact with, because even though I'm the managing partner for
yeah,
my firm, I still recruit. Like,
yeah,
there's certain positions that my clients are like, I want you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They don't want my staff, they want me. And so I go in and I do the legwork. And it's funny because recently I had a gentleman, I won't say his name, but he's currently, seeking to
Yeah.
switch into software support, analytics. And he told me, you know what, I never had a recruiter, as long as I've been
Yeah,
job hunting, ask me, what is my passion? What do
yeah,
I really want to do? And then when we realized that the position wasn't for
yeah,
me, I still said, hold on, let me go look in my database and see if I have something else for you that
yeah,
matches your background. Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
No,
he was
that's
like,
amazing.
I never had anybody do that before. And I know I got a friend for life now.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Because,
and that's what a lot of people don't get is like, I've done resumes for people, and I've told some people, like, look, your resume is good. Honestly, instead of paying me the 500 to 800, do this. I was like, and you'll be fine. And then what happens is like, oh, thank you. You saved me some money, and then I get referrals off them. And the
yeah,
referrals don't necessarily come in 1 month, 2 months. Some people refer me after a year, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then how I know I do a good job is that they're like, oh, I'm gonna have my wife use you.
yes,
So then it's like, all right, when they start giving you your family and all that stuff, then you start
yeah,
realizing, like, hey, it makes a big difference. But you gotta, like, as a recruiter, you gotta think about the long game, because people do remember you. Like, people
yeah,
remember, like, hey, this was,
yeah,
because people search for jobs every X number of years when their friends are looking, and like, hey, here's a recruiter I recommend. Like, I remember, when I was looking for a job, you get so many recruiters who are like, hey, I'll get back to you. And and it's interesting because recruiters will sometimes, they got my old info. They'll email me, because I used to be an actuary. They'll email me, hey, are
oh
you looking
wow,
for a position? So I'll be like, hey, I'm out of the field. I have a good network. Do you do splits? And then no response. And it's interesting because it's like, look, they'll be like, hey, do you have anybody you could recommend? So I'm like, hey, do you do splits? So it's like, when I'm making you money, you're responding. But now when you have to share, when you have to do these other things, now it's no response. Then it's like, hey, I'm
mm-mm,
not going to send anybody your way, because it's like,
right,
I know how much you're going to make off these candidates, and you don't even want to throw me like even a measly split. It's like, come
like a
on,
little something,
like a little something. And
something.
it's just like, whereas, like, when you kind of, and I said, you're like, hey, cool, if someone gets something, it's all about work growing together. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's really important to sort of cultivate, and that's how I identify people who are good recruiters. Like there's someone who messaged me like, hey, our client says they're giving an extra bonus and they're letting me know, and it's like, hey, even if I can't place someone, I'll send someone to them for free, because again, they
Mm-hmm.
actually care about growing and cultivating network and sharing sort of the wealth.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. And so, with even with what you're saying in terms of the recruiting terminology that you mentioned, uh,
Yeah,
what would you say to someone who's saying to themselves, "I'm just hesitant about become a recruiter. I don't know if this is going to work out for me. Um, I'm hesitant. I'm scared. I'm nervous. It's the pandemic." What would
yeah.
you say to someone like that who was nervous about coming into this Become a Recruiter program?
I mean, you could start being a recruiter on the side. It's not like you have to quit your job. You could do what you're
Correct.
currently doing and do a recruiter on the side. Get like one placement, see what's realistic, build up the pipeline, learn the knowledge. See if you could do it. Like, hey, take the time. Right now, let's say you may work 6 to 8 hours a day. Spend 2 to 3 hours just on the recruiting. See if you
Yeah.
can get a candidate. See how much money you can get. Then, right? So it's really, I would say, look, if you're scared, if you're so scared, at some point you don't even get involved in business, because there's no business that there's no fear,
Right.
right? There's some uncertainty there. It's gonna be a
Everything.
roller coaster, right? You're gonna
Everything.
have ups. You're
Yeah.
gonna have high months. You're gonna have low months. You're gonna have months where you make so much money, you're like, wow. And you're gonna have months like, whoa, I need to dip into the. I need to make sure I have a reserve. But I think the beauty of recruiting is that you don't have to do it 8 hours a day. You
Yeah.
can start small, start a few placements, start it while you're doing your current job, right?
Yeah.
Before you sort of, branch off on your own and you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this full time. So that's one of the
I'm,
beauty. I'm as a startup, like when I did resumes, it's like I did a few at a time, right?
yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
got more, then I got more, and it's like it's not something crazy hard to do while holding a full time job. You can do like 1, 2 resumes a week, maybe even
Yeah.
more, depending on your process. So
Yeah.
you gotta at some point you gotta make the jump. Like,
You gotta make
it's
the
like
jump.
in a business, sometimes you gotta borrow money. Look, you
Yeah.
either gotta spend a lot of time, you gotta put capital in, you gotta,
Yes.
get an employee. And I'm telling you, like, if you don't, you'll never get to the point. And then the other thing is, it's like you want to make this money, you want to have this lifestyle, you have to sacrifice something. It's like
Yeah.
nobody, anybody who tries to tell you like, hey, I just work 2 hours a week and I live on the beach and stuff, they're lying, right? They're selling you a dream. It
They're
takes
selling you a
sacrifice, and
dream.
you gotta put some sacrifice. You gotta put some skin in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's really good. And that's the thing. I said I don't mind doing things the long way if that means I don't have to scam people
Yeah,
in order for me to get there. I don't mind doing it the long way. I don't mind having 15 people in my classroom for now because I'm not selling a dream. I'm just telling you this is the truth. This is what you're
yeah,
going to get. These are examples. And I'm so proud of you because you're an example that it can be done to apply the tools and strategies, in order to become successful in any arena, not
yeah.
just recruiting, also with career coaching, career strategy, resume writing, things of that nature. So thank you so much for that. Listen, guys, we're almost out of time. If you're considering this course, I want you to definitely connect. If you feel like I just need my resume done. I want you to connect with
Yeah.
nodegree.com. I want you to connect with Jonaed at nodegree.com and really, really be able to go to that next level in your career without having the door slammed or your resume getting lost in the applicant tracking system. So today is the day, guys. Today is actually our last day. It's so funny because this conversation is one of the last conversations I'll have. Next week I'll be starting the course all over again with new students, and I work with a limited number of students to make sure the experience is intimate and my students can realize success. If you want to be the next Jonaed, look, there's only one, but if you want to be a little close to him, I would love to work with you. I want you to make sure you head. Oh, there goes the link right there. If you're on, where is he? He is on it, LinkedIn. Thank you.
Yeah, Rashad.
LinkedIn. Thank you, honey. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can go to that link right there, click enroll now, and you can start today for as little as $97. I have made it.
That's
This is
affordable. That's
it's a
such a good
yeah,
price.
it's a payment plan that we started because we were like, this is the pandemic. We know people
Yeah.
have certain issues happening, so let's do it as little as $97 a month. So you can sign up now, people who have come through this program have done some amazing things. You're talking to one of them. I love to be your trainer and help you through this process. So click the link and all that good stuff. But also make sure you connect with Jonaed. I'm telling you, if you're unemployed, if you don't have a degree, if you're in either of those
Yeah.
predicaments, go to him first and then come to me.
Yeah. Look, even if you're employed, I'll tell you, like, I've gotten people employed. Like, I got someone
Yeah.
recently a $60,000 salary increase. They were making 32K and they made 96K. And then
Yes.
this is what I tell people: look, you're gonna see that the jobs at the top are competitive. They're super
Yeah.
competitive. You get people who are making crazy salaries with crazy careers.
Yeah.
The fact is, you either gotta put time or money into it. And if you don't want to put money, spend a lot of time. Now,
Yeah.
look, you can get a good career. Like, there are people, I've seen people with not the best resumes get interviews, but you want to maximize your chances, right? You don't want to be like, hey, I got this one interview in the whole year and it's good. You want to make sure that, hey, you get good opportunity, that you get left and right? Because it's like, it's your career, right? You're gonna be at a job. Why not maximize your salary? Why not maximize your happiness? Why not maximize just the opportunity you have? Like, I know someone right now that I'm kind of helping out. They're making like 115K. They got a job offer at 240K, right? Just off like fixing up their resume, right? So
Yeah.
that's really the power. Like, I've seen people who are so hesitant, right? I got someone who was like, "Hey, I want to get into FANG," right? And for those of you who don't know, FANG stands for Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. And I said, "Look, for your level, I charge $600." And they're like, "Oh, that's a little too much. That's too much for a resume." Then I'm thinking like, the your sign-on bonus is gonna be 15 to 30K. You're
Yeah.
gonna get 25 to 50K a year in stock.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
resume writer that's good, they're not going to charge 100, $200 if they know they have a history of placing people at this company. The
Yeah.
only people who are going to charge that much are people who haven't done that much or who aren't that good. Because look, I started out charging like the 100, $200, right? But then I saw the results I was getting, and my clients were like, "Wow, I can't believe you're only this much," and I raised the prices. So it's like, yeah, you can get lucky with someone early on in their career, but if you want that serious money, you don't want to invest. And then here's the other thing: you want to try things out yourself. I see people, they try things out 3 to 6 months. If you did it early, you would have had 6 months at like a 20 to 30K raise. You lose out on that time. Now you would have had 6 months of that other experience. You're 6 months closer to your next job. So people, you got to be smart about your career.
Yeah, yeah, I learned very quickly. Now I can teach someone. We train individuals
Yeah,
how to incorporate resume writing into their
yeah,
career coaching,
yeah,
but it's always been something that I'm like, that's not my thing.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
interview coaching, I will coach you in that
yeah,
interview. I will get you that job
yeah,
when I was really heavily involved with that, but that was something that really I could do for free because it was
yeah, yeah,
something I just loved in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah.
But it takes a special kind of person to really digest, and it seems like what you do is digest
Yeah,
the
you got to digest and translate the
and
information.
translate it and make it sound and make it speak the language of the company that
Yeah,
it is being targeted to. And if
yeah.
you don't have a company that you're targeting, at least have an industry.
Yeah,
Good
you got to target
grief.
industry. I tell people you got to at least target an
At
industry.
least target
Yeah,
an
yeah,
industry, because those people that come into your lap and they're like, yeah, I don't know what I want to be, but can you fix my resume? No, ma'am, and no, sir.
yeah. And I say, yeah, I got to tell them, what job are you applying to? You got to be at
Exactly.
least somewhat targeted, right? Or else they just don't know. They're going to look at the resume and be like, I have no idea why I'm going to hire this person.
Exactly. And we don't want that. So, anywho, this has been amazing, amazing, amazing. Can you tell the people one more time how they can get in touch with you, Janayat?
Yeah, so look, LinkedIn is the best way. You see my name, you spell it. I think there's another person with the same spelling, but just one other.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But I
wow.
got to connect with him because you have a
Right.
bond when you have a spelling that's different and a very
I've
uncommon
never
name.
seen your name before anywhere.
Yeah. So that's one way. You could,
Okay.
I think email Jonaed at nodegree.com. That's one way to follow me on my podcast, the No Degree Podcast. Episode 18 is Monique. So any of you listen to her story. I think it's always good to sort of follow programs from people who come from non-traditional backgrounds because I'm telling you that if you come from a non-traditional background, Monique, minority woman who broke into recruiting, which is a very, you have people of a certain type in there. She's gonna tell you like it's not easy to translate. So she's gonna tell you like how you get it, and it's funny because you inspired like because Hannah, so Hannah like listened to the episode. She's like, "Look, I love Monique and stuff," and I've referred a lot of people to your episode because it really shows just like the hustle and the grit you have, and applying that grit as a you need to have that grit as a recruiter because again,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, how do you get your money if they didn't pay? What do you do? How do you contact them? You got to have these contracts. You got to have these things. You got to do these things to protect yourself because look, in business, you gotta know your worth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, doing that podcast with you. And it was definitely inspiration for me and my podcast and to be a little bit consistent. Look, you got the consistency going on when it comes to those side things. Like when it comes to the work, I got it. But when it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
to that LinkedIn and stuff, I said I have to be better. So you definitely inspire me. So thank you so much for that. And that is the end of our broadcast. Listen, guys, sign up for the course. We're only a few hours away until enrollment closes. And like he said, don't be scared. I said it like that. Yes,
Yeah, don't
don't
be
be
scared.
scared.
Don't be scared.
Just go ahead and do the darn thing, okay? Thank you so much, Jonaed. It's always a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to have you here and just be able to speak on Bar's behalf as well as NoDegree.com. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you
good
for having me.
one.
Thank the audience. Reach out if you have any hesitation. I can 100% vouch for Monique. I'll even vouch for her in the DM. So I'm gonna say the same thing. You message me in the DMs. I'm gonna say the same exact thing that I'm saying publicly. I really mean it. Monique has a great heart. She really knows what she's doing. So I'm so happy that I was able to share my experiences with your audience.
Thank you so much. All right. Have a good one. Bye, guys.